Here's one more example. The Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do, and nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them." He's more optimistic than Weinberg. "Come, let us go down there and confuse their language, that they may not understand one another." Well, we've been paying for that one ever since, haven't we? This should not be surprising. This conceptualization of God is the same one that brought us the ordeal of bitter waters, how to handle non-virgins, and instructions for committing genocide against whole nations of people because they happened to reside in land that he decided belonged to his chosen people. And Christians as well as Jews consider themselves to be God's chosen people. Well, what does this God actually want for us? You try to find a description of heaven in this book. He told us exactly what he wants for us. "In the sweat of your face you will eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. You are dust, and to dust you shall return." The God of the Bible agrees that the universe is open, and he's rooting for total proton decay. He wants us to become the dust that Bertrand Russell and Freeman Dyson and many others predict in the absence of purposeful effort to the contrary. Part 2, the message is, if we use this as a moral code, he'll get his way. And if we have any god or gods that is in charge of the far future of the universe, this one will get his way. He will be the Lord God. Fortunately, there are much brighter visions. Many of them are in Davy's book. I'm going to give you an old one that might give you some inkling of where Charles Darwin got this strange phrase, the struggle for existence. It's from his grandfather. "Would it be too bold to imagine that in the great length of time since the world began to exist, that warm-blooded animals have arisen from one living filament, which the great first cause endued with animality, with the power of acquiring new parts, attended with new propensities, directed by irritations, sensations, volitions, and associations, and thus possessing the faculty of continuing to improve by its own inherent activity, and of delivering down those improvements by generation to its posterity, world without end?" The alternative is to abandon the struggle for existence. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take some questions. Yes, sir?
Yes, I'd like to know, why do you choose to bring in the concept of forever in your definition of existence? I've always conceived of existence as more or less time independent. I exist right here and now. The second part of it is, having done that, why is it so important to consider the fate of the universe in trying to get back to moral questions of how to act today? Wouldn't you consider things on a limited time scale? Just consider the planet as it is now, for example?
Yeah, you could. Sure, you could.
Just tell them up there what you asked.
Okay. There's a couple, I think there are 3 parts to this question. Is why do you insist on evidence forever as part of your definition for existence? And why do you say that that's necessary as a foundation for morality? I'm an empiricist is the answer to the first question. If there's no evidence for a thing, don't talk to me about it.
Why does that evidence have to go on forever?
Well, that's the nature of evidence. If there comes a time when there is no evidence, then retroactively the thing wasn't there. In other words, we could sit here and conjecture about a thing for which there is literally zero evidence There are people who would argue that as soon as we mention it, we've created some evidence that it exists from this point on. But if there's no evidence that it existed in the past, then for an empiricist, it didn't exist. And if at any time it doesn't exist, it never existed. It's just a logical point of view. You're certainly welcome to reject it. And in fact, if you can find good moral grounds for behaving morally, even though everything we do is going to turn into celestial dust, then good, do it.
Yes?
What if it existed in the past, like demonology, and then we find that it no longer exists?
But it absolutely existed, and it's still having consequences today. And what if we find out, what if something existed in the past like demonology, and we find out that it was wrong? That doesn't challenge its existence one iota. As a concept and a living concept, it existed. It had evidence then. It has evidence now. It doesn't matter how wrong we come to know it to be. It will always be evident that it existed as long as there's some thinking entity to have that thought.
Let's take a question from over there.
What if I was to adopt the view that existence will end, so I don't exist now, nothing matters, and I have no moral code, I'll just do whatever I like, if it pleases me, if I can get away with it, I'll have a pretty enjoyable life.
Join the human race.
Make sure you repeat so that people can hear.
What happens if I take the view that existence will end? Let's say we've got a closed universe here. Everything is going to collapse into a black hole. Nothing that comes out of it will be a consequence of anything that went into it. It will be the end of time as time is conceived by physicists. And it is a good definition. That would be the end of time. Then it doesn't matter what I do now. I'll just do whatever I can get away with, whatever makes me happy. My answer is welcome to the human race.
Yes.
In the statement, for all organisms, life is better than alternative.
Yeah.
What are your standards for better?
Better than dying.
What frame are you using for better?
Better than dying. Better than being dead.
All better in what way?
Better, the evidence for it is being alive takes effort. You've got to get food. You've got to stay warm. You've got to stay away from your enemies. Everything that's alive makes that effort. That's the evidence that it's better than being dead. Now, there is such a thing as suicide. Bees commit suicide every time they sting an intruder to the hive. Of course, they save the replication of their genes. That's kin selection. We all know that story. Humans commit suicide. I think often for much the same reason. They see themselves as a burden to their family, their friends, their community. I see that as a sort of altruistic suicide. But most humans commit suicide because of what? They have lost their sense of purpose. Usually because they have found their purpose to be unattainable.
Let's take one more question.
I think that for morality, the question of forever, I agree with this too.
Right.
That it's irrelevant. And I would like to give you a quote from Salman Rushdie, in which he speaks to non-believers on behalf of secular humanists, and to say, to accept that the world here is all there is, to go through it to and into death without the consolation of religions seems to me at least as courageous and rigorous to us as the espousal of faith seems to the Muslims. Secularism and its work deserve your respect, not your contempt. But it doesn't require eternity.
No,
It requires
yeah.
only this life.
Absolutely. I have no contempt, and I do have respect for that point of view. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you can motivate yourself to be moral, even though there is nothing in the hereafter, I respect and encourage you to do that.
That's where we have to start from.
You can start there. You can disagree with my point of view. I'm saying that if it's all going into the black sack, I don't give a damn.